Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of Vivel Remote Work and Web3 Talks. Today, we are doing the 11th episode. Lars, can you believe that it's almost, time for the event, and we are doing the 11th live stream now?
I know. I feel like it's been anticipated for a long time now. I think we started to announce it in August last year, and I think since then we have come a long way and have had many great guests in this chat. And now we're 2 weeks away, and it's about to happen, and those people get to all meet each other in person.
Exactly. So we cannot wait to meet you all in person. And today we have House of Hamsters team with us. Iryna, she's the head of partnerships, and we have Amir, who is advisor to House of Hamsters. We are proud to have them as one of our sponsors. They have been supporting us. And so we'll be talking more about the project today. And so we have some questions for Iryna and also Amir, and also talking about the level of partnerships that we are building with them and how they are going to be contributing to the event. So, hi, Iryna, how are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for hosting us today.
Thank you. So, I mean, it's to give a bit more information to our audience. So, what is House of Hamsters? It's like an intriguing name. So, what is it about? Can you just describe the project a bit?
Yeah, thank you for having that question because it's really important one, crucial to tell the story about the project. And as it's new and revolutionary NFT game that operates on the new principles like think to earn, while promoting the development of strategic thinking skills as well
Mhm.
as fast decision-making skills. While you're playing a Texas Hold'em poker game, you earning the cryptocurrency. However, Hamster strives to provide an accessible and enjoyable gaming experience through a user-friendly interface and also simple and quite entertaining gameplay. Our goal is to attract a broad audience, including those who are not so experienced in cryptocurrency, and also introduce them opportunities of the blockchain and gamifying. Regarding the name, well, there were several names before. At first, it was Poker Hamster and then just Hamsters. But in business, it's very important to have an interesting and eye-catching name that wouldn't be forgotten. That's why we decided to use House of Hamsters because people usually play poker in the house. And we decided to put our interesting character Hamster in the house. Also, the idea of six people playing in the one place, online or offline. And then we figure out that the name House of Hamsters will be the perfect match.
Okay. And you mentioned that this is a think to earn game. So this is really interesting because we're so used to seeing the play to earn. But what is think to earn? So how do we think and earn? Can you just tell us a bit more about that?
Because you need
Yeah, I
to,
think.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
go
think
ahead.
you will answer better for this.
Okay.
Yeah, Arena, you want to start? I'll take over after.
Yeah, okay, because as it's the first NFT game where you play and earn, you need to at first think before to make moves in the poker. And to understand this principle, it's very crucial part of intellectual growth. And by participating in Texas Hold'em, you need to understand the rules and think your next move. That's why it's also smart decision-making abilities. And as a reward for this, you gain and earn tokens and cryptocurrency. We merge gamify and poker to create a sustainable economical model so you can earn like for a long-term period. And also our revolutionary concept gamifying allows us to attract more users and players to poker as well as non-crypto enthusiasts.
Yeah, I wanted
Okay.
to jump in because Iryna is working with the core team. I'm an external advisor. And just like Mine, you are inquiring about the idea of think to earn. That was the first thing that caught my attention when I started talking to the founder. And he has a background in poker and gambling industry. In gambling industry, they do have sort of not positive impression in terms of the industry. I'm not a fan of gambling, but when he started to explaining that the poker, in by its definition, motivates people to think, to make calculated decisions, to be cool, not to depend on your emotions. And then he was giving it sort of examples from his life where he was using poker when he was making business decision that eventually and ultimately defined his success. So that was his sales pitch. And I thought we would be talking for 15, 20 minutes. I'm going to decline the offer, but we ended up talking for 3 hours first time we met. And as we spoke further and further, he started talking about betting industry and then gambling industry and started researching as well as describing his perspective about deficiencies that exist in NFT world. He said, look at this do something industry. There is play to earn, walk to earn. He specifically looked at the step and the project called Walken. He described me and did show me that they don't have any economic value. It's pretty much the greed driven industry. But the fact that we are teaching and motivating people to think while they play the poker and reward them with our tokens that we believe is going to grow in the value, to me, it sounded very interesting and eye catchy concept wise, not the gambling industry wise. And as I started learning the basics of poker, initially they used to call the game crypto hamsters, which didn't make any kind of sense to me. It didn't convey the idea, and I thought we spoke with a couple of people within the industry, and we said, okay, there are a number of six hamsters sitting around the table playing the poker. This is the house, and that's what the typical gambling industry calls. You play in the house, and what if we call it a house of hamsters? That's the first big picture that got my attention. The second big picture that got my attention was the integration or the developing the idea of hamster. I don't know, be it a good thing or bad thing. I thought of Mickey Mouse when he started talking about hamsters, and then I looked at the big industry. And recent the big deal is the PP coins that was listed on a Binance, the meme coin that became a super hit. And I thought, okay, there's the hamster, there's the poker, there's the thing to earn. And if you put them all together, it's a community engaging experience. It's not necessarily that the poker related. It's above all bringing people together, give them additional source to generate income. And for those who are less fortunate in developing countries or less developed countries who don't have access to bank accounts or the paperwork or totally misunderstanding the situation, was a house of hamsters that could just tap into the Web3. And that's when my understanding about the overall project started to become more and more positive. And eventually I joined it as a consultant and advisor and working with the team very closely, especially the founder. So this has just been a slightly extended answer to what Iryna started.
But this is really interesting. So that was like, when I was first reading about it, because like I think it's really smart, like how you are reframing and just like, this is like really thinking. So it is not something that, it is there with, just like, click on something and you just like, earn something. But this is really just like educating people on that side as well, like how to think, how to just like even your facial the things like how you're showing it, how you're not showing it. I think that's also like a fun part of it. Lars, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, if you're into Web3 already versus maybe you have never done anything inside of Web3 and crypto. Like, how do you get started with something like this, right? Like, people have probably played poker games online, but how do you get started to something like this if you've never done it before?
Okay, I can start. Basically, as it's a mobile game, it's really easy to just download the app and get through the registration and connect your crypto wallet to start the game. But for sure, our developers have created a easy onboarding process for everyone. that guides new users through the setup process, helps you to create the crypto wallet, purchase the cryptocurrency, and also learn how to exchange it to the game's native token. Moreover, the game includes tutorials and quite clear instructions how to play Texas Hold'em game, and also how to buy and sell NFTs and how to use in-game cryptocurrency.
So I am going to be sharing the website. So if anyone's interested in downloading and starting to play the game, so there is the iOS and the Android links on the page. So if you go to this address, you can just like download, you can get redirected to the stores and Play Store and also App Store. And you can just like download it and just kick off your experience with House of Hamsters. So, Amir, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, essentially, that's the what we call the A/B testing in technical language. There is the beta version based on the feedback of the users. The team, the tech team in particular, would be applying all the required changes to make the user interface as intuitive as possible. But looking at the landscape of NFT and the gaming combined, we haven't seen, at least I haven't seen direct competitors that House of Hamsters might have. Additionally, I'm looking at the community and the engagement and the fact that people are getting more and more excited sort of makes it even more interesting because when I look at the business like this, I'm quite skeptical given the rug pulls, given the dramas, the scams that happen in the industry. But by far, based on what I have seen, and this is a self-funded project, meaning that the founding team, they have a skin in the game. And that's where I do have a total appreciation towards the dev team, the founding team members, and the evolving team members, including Iryna, who recently joined the project, to be this way involved and sort of kind of curious where it's going to end up.
So I have a question. So let's say I went to the website and just downloaded the app. Do I have to pay anything to start the playing the game?
No. You just need to register, and after the registration, each user receives a free hamster to play. You can use it as your character, and 1,000 nuts. It will be like your coins in game to partake in tournaments to earn the tokens. So we have a really low entry barrier, allowing players to participate with a small amount of cryptocurrency, and this makes it more accessible for people who are not familiar to crypto world. And this option makes it easier for anyone to play the game, regardless of your poker skills and blockchain experience, because we also have a training room, which we call warm up, where you can just try your poker skills, increase your chances of winning in the game. And also, you can try your luck and win the loot box, where you can multiply your earnings and earn even more cryptocurrency if you want in future to buy NFT.
Okay, that's awesome. So, like for the beginners, so if I'm not in Web3, I can just like, but I am, even if I don't know how to play poker, like, being a total beginner, I can just like, go and start educating myself and start thinking so that I be earning more. So, one more question. Can I invite, let's say I'm playing with friends, like I have poker nights. Can I invite them to the game?
Yeah, definitely. That's why we decided to create this game, because most of the poker lovers, they like to play with their friends to come together and play in one room. You can even in the future create your own tables with your friends, but it's in a bad version. And also, there will be a referral program. With each invited friend, you will receive a reward, which also can multiply your earnings. And there will be like 7% share from invited friends. So there are lots of bonuses in the referral program we have.
I have a question as
Right.
well. So I what is the something that I find very important when it comes to like I guess the new world of Web3, and why I think it's unique versus like maybe some of the things that we have already seen is like not only do you have a sense of belonging, but at the same time you're actually having a community that thinks very similar. Like you described, like poker night, they have a certain feeling associated with it, right? So my question is, how does the community that you guys are building like feeling in your from your point of view as like what you guys are trying to create as far as like bringing people together? So my question is like how does the feeling of being part of the House of Hamster community, what does that feel like?
Would you take a lead, please?
Oh yeah, of course. Lars, thank you very much for the question. The core philosophy of the project is to empower the community by bringing them together, motivating them to participate in competitions and technically show off who is good and who is not good. For example, if you look at the Board Ape Yacht Club, it's the question of being member of exclusive club, and if you're the owner of NFT, it gives the sort of prestige, both online along with the offline privileges as a member. So that's the direction in which House of Hunters is moving, putting the community first, to empowering them with the promise of NFT as well as Web3 and the earlier ideas that I mentioned, why I got personally interested. And the third one, of course, there is the hypothesis how House of Hamsters wants to develop the overall concept of community by bringing them everyone together worldwide. And they totally understand, or we do totally understand, that we're dealing with multiple cultures coming from different walks of life. And the team is constantly collecting the feedback about the game, about the feel of the game, about the community, in incentives that could be applied to make this community as welcoming, as compelling, as interesting as possible. And one of the things is about the charity that I'll talk about a bit later. This had the three components at this point, but seeing the reaction and seeing the interest of the community, even within the absence of the app, makes it even more interesting for me to watch out for the project. Now it's all happening within the Telegram bot, just to collect the feedback, and the community is quite excited. And maybe that's the initial first stage when before token gets listed, before NFT is released, and the team is having the NFT sales May 15. But I'm sort of curious, once after the sale of May 15's first thousands of boxes will be sold, would be on sale, and then once token is released, how it will actually would be manifested within the community, if people are going to be as engaging as they are today, or we're going to witness the situation when users, once they have token, they're going to dump it and start cashing out, which is a typical case in most of the Web3 projects. But from the day one, when we met and spoke with the founder, I suggested to put the community's interest above all everything, not investors, not advisors, not partners, but if community succeeds in making this great, in making this game great again, I'm sure everything else becomes quite easier to achieve. If I answered the question, Lars.
Yeah, I think community first, you know, the community driven projects are the ones that sustain because they actually they actually have the ability to listen to whatever comes their way rather than, you know, doing whatever makes the most money. Like that's why I guess the cash grabs that last very short, where the projects that actually are putting their community first, they are sustainable and they can continue because they have the ability to adapt to whatever the needs of the community are. So I think that that's the right approach, to be able to first test things and then to receive the feedback to then build like something that the community actually wants and feels like have a place of belonging.
So I have one question. So we said think to earn. So how do we earn? Like, because you were mentioning about the multipliers, how we can just like, get extra and earn extra, but like what are those, things that we can earn in our account?
So the main benefits of the House of Hamsters is that users get paid from the participation in the free tournaments and competitions, thanks to their earnings from the rake, which is called commission from token games. Also, you can sell your NFT if you have some assets in the game. Resell it on the secondary market and get some royalties from this. Also, while pumping up your hamster, you level up it, and the value of your NFT is raising all the time. By the way, you can also rent your hamster too.
We can also win. What can you repeat again?
You can also rent out your hamster
Ah,
to
right.
other people.
Okay.
You'll
That's
get
cool.
some bonuses, yes, from this in the cryptocurrency.
Okay. I love this idea. And also I can just like refer my friends and I can get extra. So like if my friends play, I get a multiplier. Amazing. And I saw that there's also an option to become an ambassador. How does that work?
Oh, that's an interesting question because we are still growing as a community and we're also looking for the new members of our team. And as a global project, we have international team, so anyone from any country can join us. But unfortunately, today I found out that these terms were expired and so-called Crew 3 just closed their doors to the first batch, but I hope that in the future we also review all the requests from people because we still need some talents in the team.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's amazing. So we'll be just like, as you are part of the community, Vival community will also be announcing those needs moving forward. And so, Amir, I would like to come back to you. So, what was the reason? Because, like, there was kind of like a resonation between Vival and House of Hamsters. So, what made you decide to be one of the sponsors of Vival?
No, I think prior to Vival and House of Hamsters, there was a bigger resonation. And I think that's the resonation where once we spoke back in Georgia, I was very fascinated by your expertise, Mina, of how you help companies develop culture and multicultural companies that I have seen that are successfully failing in bringing people together. I thought this is the skill that should be taught. So that was the first thing that caught my attention, and that's when I learned about Vivel and we met Lars. And I thought for any potentially startup interested in bringing people together, they have to understand the nature and the importance of working in multicultural environment, because the way people communicate, the way they understand, the way that they interpret in any information in any form, in any shape, it can definitely differ. And I thought Vivel gives that platform to practice the engagement with multicultural environment, people coming from various walks of life, people coming from both Web 2 and Web 3, and mixing it with an experience that we saw that puts people together instead of organizing slightly boring events, which is Q&A and then tea break and then after parties, which I was never a fan of. To me, resonated emotionally above all. And House of Hamsters is evolving as a tech company. It's improving its community, and Iryna is one of the key persons who is in charge of developing the partnerships. And I thought the direct engagement of House of Hamsters with Vivel would only benefit in understanding why plugging ourselves into the global community of Web3 within the context of Vivel's philosophy would only benefit, and all team members would start understanding the idea of the culture, both from the professional standpoint when working within the team and person standpoint when you are meeting somebody who is not within your culture. So this had a pretty much initial reasons that motivated the team not only to proudly sponsor the event but associate with Vivel.
Mm-hmm. That's great to hear because, like, my feeling when I was like, going through House of Hamsters, what they're doing, the story behind it. I don't know what you feel about it, Lars, but it felt like, because what we are trying to do with Vival is just like, go through the unbeaten path. So this is like, it's kind of like the same what House of Hamsters is doing. They're not just like, they don't want to be just one of those Web3 games, but like trying to just like, position it in a way that this is like an educating game, and this is like making people to think about it, making people to strategize. So it's kind of like, in a way, creating some, unique way and bringing a different perspective. So this is what we actually want to do with Vivel too. And whoever becomes part of the community, we are all for co-creation. So it's not like any, centralized thing that we're doing only me and Lars is building, but this is like, co-creating it as the whole community. Lars, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think, we all have played that game when we probably were younger, and still people like do it today in all kinds of forms. And I think that for me, a game taught me English. Like, I am not a native English speaker by trade. Like, I'm from the Netherlands, and Dutch is my first language. And then, when I was like 10 years old, I started playing games, and that's how I learned to speak English, because I had to further myself in that game. So I resonate with the feeling of belonging, but at the same time, you want to also contribute to, I guess, the reasons why you would be in the game, the motives why you play the game. It's like, yes, there's an element that you guys are now providing that wasn't always present in games, is that to be able to earn something. But I think that equally as important is the feeling you get when you're joining the game. If there is a sense of like, I want to meet people there, I want to do things together with the people that also play that game, then I think it's something that can be sustainable. So to come back to what Amir earlier said about like, you want to be able to do something that isn't like short term, you want something that is long term, and to be able to create that, you have to listen to what the community actually wants. And I think that is no different from what we are doing with Vivel. Like, we made an hypothesis that this is the type of connecting that is going to give people the most sustainable community. I think that House of Hamsters is on the same journey to see how they can create the most sustainable community that will stay with their game, that will play their game, that will engage with their game. I think that a lot of the time we don't always see the direct overlap, but I think that everyone who builds community is running into the same type of challenges. And it's about, what do you care about the most? What are you going to apply and what are you not? So I think for me, when I look at the journey, I think the journeys are very similar. And I think that we're in a global stage now. So we have to understand, okay, when we come together, what is it that people look for? And what is it that would make them come back? I think is maybe even the bigger question. So if I asked like my final question maybe to you guys, is like, why would you come back to the game after you played it for the first time? Like, I think that's an important question to answer. Like, I have to answer that for Vivel, but I can imagine you have to answer that for House of Hamsters too. So why would you return to the game after you tried it for the first time?
Amir, will you start first, please?
Oh yeah, of course. Well, thanks, Lars. Thanks. That's a good question. I think that the feeling of belonging somewhere is one of the most psychological, if you look at Maslow's pyramid of the needs. Because when I was looking at the idea of NFTs and why they became so famous, starting with the CryptoPunks and then other projects that came along, one thing popped up during my research, that you belong somewhere, and it all starts within the family, that you belong somewhere in the family, within your community, and then within your school, and as a citizen, as a global citizen. And I have seen several people in my life that are wildly successful and deeply alone, who were totally devastated psychologically and morally. And they live in a well-developed part of the world. But I have seen extremely poor people, but they're part of community. And this belonging fulfills their lifestyle. And this is sort of manifested within the NFT. And that was interesting observation that I had. And I thought, House of Hamsters, if I could give this sort of piece of advice where they're developing the community, you, with a single click, you get into the game, be it on Telegram, be it on the app, be it the desktop, and you know there is somebody else is playing, and you know that you could relate to that person, and you don't have to speak any sort of language, but you speak the language of the poker, and then start engaging with each other. And this engagement could be reflected within the Telegram, telling people about your experience within the game. And that's how the be it being part of a tribe is a probably a good example. And as I'm talking about this, I remember the story of the Tom's shoes, how the founder started the idea. If you buy a pair of Tom's shoes within the US or within anywhere in the world, somebody in Africa or within Latin America who cannot technically buy a pair of shoes would get it for free. And it's also another form of practicing the culture and development of the community. I thought these had a number of examples and qualities and features that are being implemented within the game would get people coming back to the game. And at least that's the hope that team has. But that's a very important deep question Lars, that you ask. And after collecting the feedback of the users, after polishing the game a little bit more, I'm sure this question would remain as a top priority. And I think we're going to have several changes in the future. And thank you for asking. But I would have the same question about Vivel. What is it that would motivate people to come back to Vivel?
Lars, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, what brings people back to the same place, I think, is the way they feel. I think if they feel like it's something that is adding to their life, I think that is a reason for them to want to come back. And if that's an experience, if they care about the people that are there, I think that there's multiple reasons why someone is interested in it, but I think that everyone has a personal reason of why they would want to return. So I don't think I can answer it for every single person individually, because if I would say, some people might love the DJs that come, and others, they might say, I love the people that I met, and others might say, I had a lot of knowledge that I gained from being there. So I think for everyone that might look different. But I do think that we provide enough handlebars for them to be able to see the value of it. And I think that it's just like you guys with the House of Hamsters, we have to figure out what are those handlebars that we have to make again when we do the event again. What are those handlebars that remain, and what might be handlebars that we don't need anymore. So I think that's like the part of the experience, is to actually find out what is needed and what might not be needed.
Yeah, and like for me personally, I mean, I just like, as the time is just like getting shorter and shorter, my heart is beating hard because like I will be seeing some of my friends and I'll be just like, like personally, I'm really passionate about the event. So I mean, like we were building the event from scratch with Lars, and in a way that made us enthusiastic about. So like whatever was like made us passionate and enthusiastic about this event, we were just like, planning all the bits and pieces so that people would have this remarkable experience, get immersed in this experience. And we really wanted this not to be only about the event, but the experience itself. So that this is like a meetup, like a reunion with your community, and that we do it like each year so that people are like looking forward to it, and so they miss it. And so this is like exactly the thing that we want to create, that feeling, because that's what sticks with people. It's not about like what they hear, it's not about what they do, but it's about how they feel about it. So we want them to walk away with that feeling after we well, so that they long for that feeling for next year. And so, having talked about the community, there's also another piece about House of Hamsters. So, House of Hamsters is also supporting the earthquake victims in the area. And so, you are also going to be sponsoring a lunch on Friday for the earthquake victims. So, it's kind of like a give back to the community, and we really appreciate that. So, what is the overall view about giving back to community? How does that live in the culture of House of Hamsters company, the company culture?
Well, even though this is just a startup, founder and myself, when we were talking about various ideas that weren't part of House of Hamsters, we just started contemplating about social impact. And it's not about the having a huge significant check, but starting with something what we have at hand, look at the globe and figure out where we could bring some value. On one hand, we as a team admire to the fact that the Europeans, the Americans, support, in this case, Ukrainians with the situation. And we thought when I saw at the news what happened in Turkey, I was totally devastated. And because I'm from Central Asia myself, I think if I could say that in Turkish, Mina would understand. Sizler bizim kardeşlerimiz. We had to take the action. And one of the priorities that I put forward, saying that at any cost, we have to organize at least symbolic dinner for those who suffered. I have never experienced this type of earthquake myself. I have never been a refugee in any form or shape, but I see these people around me whenever I travel across Africa, across Middle East in particular, or Southeast Asia. It terrifies me being in their spot. And one way or the other, I promised myself if I join to any team in any form, breaking the social impact within the corporate culture would become one of the most important decisive factors if I'm going to be in with the team or I'm going to be out. And when I mentioned this concept to House of Hamsters, they gladly accepted the idea as a new tradition. Every month, the team would allocate a very symbolic budget, organizing be it symbolic dinners within earthquake suffered areas or devastated areas or for refugees worldwide. And that a list of countries that we have selected, starting with the African and Southeast Asian region. And primarily, I'm helping the team to find the right team members to allocate the required budget and bring a little piece of joy and hope to those people that need it badly. And that's what we thought, starting with the partnership with Vivel and bringing this first symbolic charity dinner to the victims of earthquake would make our presence more significant rather than positioning the House of Hamsters as another play to earn, think to earn kind of game to stand out from the crowd. This is also to show that the team is not chasing the fact of generating capital to become the meme coin millionaires or having the extravaganza kind of life, but also show transparently that the team cares about what is happening worldwide and does whatever it takes to make it lighter and easier for those who deserve it. You know?
So we really appreciate that because we've been also impacted. I mean, me living in Turkey, I was like emotionally impacted and devastated. And thank you and Lars, you were really supportive during that period. And we had to change the location, so we had to cancel Mersin and Adana and replace it with RGS. So that's why part of what we do is going to be fundraising. So we will be doing a fundraising dinner as well, and so we will be also just like with the support of our community, we'll be giving back to community. So we really appreciate you being part of it. And talking about our partnership, so if you are interested in joining us at Vivel in Cappadocia and RGS, you can visit our website, and on the ticketing page, you can use the discount code for House of Hamsters is HOH20 to get 20% off the regular ticket price. And I'd like to remind you that our tickets are for two. So if you buy one ticket, you get to bring your plus one. So if you're interested in joining us in this unique experience and just like co-create the experience with us, you're more than welcomed. We will be thrilled to meet you in person as well. And for that, give you that 20% off the regular price. So thank you, Iryna. Thank you, Amir. Lars, do you want to add anything as a closing remark?
I would
Nothing?
like to add something if we have
Okay.
time, of course.
Yes. Yes,
At
sure.
first, I want to show you how the team is supportive and generous. For example, I'm from Ukraine, and even tomorrow I can become a refugee too. So this application, this game contribute to those who would like to earn, would like to work, and to become a part of crypto world, because they have lots of tutorials, and any day, anytime you can start your own path in this crypto world.
That's amazing. So you are here to create an impact on this world, and We really appreciate that. And we are super thrilled to have you as a part of our community. So, thank you everyone for watching us. For those of you who are going to be watching this later, you can visit the link just to remind you to get more information about the event and also visit our ticketing page and use the discount code and redeem the code at checkout to get 20% off. So, thank you everyone, and we'll be seeing you at Vivel.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank you
much.
for having us. Bye.
Bye.